Is Liu Kang weak? And is Reptile peak? Welcome everybody to the Mortal Kombat 1 canonical power tier list, where I rank the Mortal Kombat characters based on how strong they are in the story mode. Things will get wacky, and don't worry, there's no Jackie. I promise you will not be able to guess who's actually the strongest character in Mortal Kombat 1. You actually won't get it because I made the list and I made this stupid ass character to be number 1. I think I kind of regret turning on the camera today. Yo, what is up guys? SonicHaXD here, and you've already been through my intro, so I should not waste your time and I should just get right into the main topic. Now, I've made, I believe, 3 types of videos like this. I've made one for Mortal Kombat 11, I've made one for the Legends movies, and I've made one for Mortal Kombat 2021. And those are all kind of like smaller, fun videos. Although the Mortal Kombat 11 one also kind of broke my mind with how broken that worldview is in terms of like how strong the characters are and yada yada. But Mortal Kombat 1, this is a special case of fucked up. Like, I had to really think thoroughly how I can build this tier list for it to kinda make sense. And even then, it's still a struggle. On one half, it's because of the story of Mortal Kombat 1 and how fucked up it is. And on the other half, it's cameo fighters. How am I gonna rank how strong a character is if that character was the cameo fighter during certain fights? Yeah. So I'm gonna try my best, and if you don't agree with me, well, fuck you. I'm just kidding. I put the links to the tier list in the description so you can make your own tier list and you can be happy yourself, you ungrateful son of a bitch. Alright, so let me explain what I've got here. We have 10 roles and a bunch of characters to rank here. And now, I don't know when this happened for the tier maker site, but you used to be able to put more roles. I think for my Mortal Kombat 11 one, I had like 13 or 14 roles or something like that. I wanted to make 15 or 16 roles, but I'm only limited to 10 now. I don't know when this happened, but it has happened now. So I had to cram a lot more characters in roles, which kind of annoys me because I really wanted to differentiate them more, but oh well, it still works. It makes the tier list more, I guess, well balanced. Yeah, prettier, I guess I would say. So that's why there's only 10 tiers and not 15 more. I would love to have made more MK puns, but you know, that's all I've got. I'm not gonna go through all the roles. I'll just go through the important ones right now. So the highest you can get is the Titans tier. So obviously characters like Titan Liu Kang goes there, Titan Shang Tsung goes there, Titan Quan Chi, and of course, Titan Havoc. Then if you go all the way to the bottom, you'll see the what in the actual fuck tier. That means you are genuinely a super loser and you never won a single fight in the entire story mode, and that's why you go there. And then there's a bunch of in-betweens that we'll talk about. There is a tier higher than Titans called Cake in a Wheelchair, but only like the supreme beings that are above the Elder Gods, above the Titans, above life itself gets to go there, and we'll talk about that when we talk about them. Alright, so I'm not gonna go through this role by role. I'm gonna go through this chapter by chapter. That way you can understand why I'm putting characters where they go, essentially. Trust me, this, in my opinion, is the best way for me to explain how we do things here. So let's look at Chapter 1. Chapter 1, unfortunately, doesn't have that many fights to determine how strong a character is, because it was a test. The Lin Kuei were testing Raiden and Kung Lao's abilities in that tea house. Oh wow, Kung Lao beat Scorpion, Sub-Zero, and Smoke, but no, he did not. Like, they were letting him. So, unfortunately, we can't really determine their strengths based off that. However, there is one fight that happens here that we can determine, and it is the first fight, which is Kung Lao versus Raiden. And Kung Lao wins that fight. So, here I have Raiden, normal Raiden, Farmer Raiden, going down the what the actual Fu tier, and then we've got Kung Lao going into the you got lucky tier. Now, I split Raiden into multiple different versions where he has and doesn't have powers, but I didn't do that for Kung Lao. The reason is because it would just make things more complicated, and Kung Lao, whether he does or does not have the razor-rimmed hat, doesn't really change how strong this character is in the tier list. Now, it does for Raiden, because Raiden gets stronger during the training arc in Chapter 3. Also, I had to split Raiden into multiple characters, because Kung Lao doesn't get any more wins in this entire game. So if I don't do this for Kung Lao, he will be weak. And so I feel like I need to put Kung Lao like higher than the weakest tier, and this is the only way I could do it. Honestly, he could even be higher depending on how you feel like what he's done throughout the story. I remember I had him around like here in the Demons tier, but after thinking about it, his only actual win is against Raiden early on. Everything else is because of circumstance. So You can have him higher if you want. I'm just gonna put him in the you got lucky tier right now. Next we go to chapter 2. Unfortunately, again, just like chapter 1, we don't have a lot of fights that can determine power levels. The first 2 fights are in movies, so it's not like Kata Ravala and Kalima and even Best Boy Adam matter for Johnny Cage in terms of like how strong he is. Then when Scorpion and Sub-Zero show up, they obviously were holding back. They were trying not to kill Johnny Cage, so it's not like Johnny actually won against them too. The only fight that we can look at is the fact that Johnny Cage beats Kenshi. Now Kenshi at this point hasn't won anything yet, but he will eventually win some stuff, so he's gonna go into the you got lucky. Then Johnny will go above him. It's kind of shocking that Johnny Cage is actually pretty strong on this tier list, all things considered. You know, I'm gonna put Johnny on Shrugs and Kenshi and Let Us Pass because of things that happen eventually. It's just to make this tier list more easier. Now this is where personal bias comes in again. Like, now that I'm thinking about this a bit more, I think Cologne can at least go here because of his contributions throughout chapter 4 and 7. Like, I feel like he does fight a bit more, I guess, so I kind of want to put him here. This also affects future characters, believe it or not. Kung Lao's placement, I actually had Kung Lao in the Shrugs tier, but I forgot like he doesn't really do much in this anyways. I'm just gonna put him in Let Us Pass. Chapter 3, here we get a lot more fights and a lot more canonical shenanigans happening for characters. So first off, Shaolin Monks Raiden without powers, but he's had training in the Shaolin Monks, goes to the Demons tier. And yeah, that version of Raiden already is super high on the tier list already, so congratulations. After that, Raiden joins the tournament and beats the crap out of a bunch of Outworld characters. Obviously, Raiden with powers is at least going to be stronger or on par with Raiden that got training from the Shaolin Monks that doesn't have powers yet. It would be funny if I just put him down here because he actually only beats like weaker characters, but no, I'm not going to be like that. So he beats Li Mei, he beats Reiko, this is Katana, she's got my back, and then he beats General Shao. So quite a lot of wins here. Hey there, Future Sonic here. So I actually kind of made a mistake here, and it's the fact that I split Raiden into 2 characters. Raiden with no powers but had training in the Shaolin Monks, and Raiden with powers. However, I never needed to split him into 2 characters because these 2 versions of Raiden will always stick together throughout this entire tier list, so it's kind of pointless. However, Shaolin Monk's Raiden being this high up is pretty funny, and it gets funnier as the tier list goes on. The fact that this normal-ass Shaolin Monk guy with no powers is going to be able to defeat ridiculously OP power-leveled characters because they never win a fight, it does get pretty funny as the video goes on. Up next in chapter 4, Baraka shows up and he fights Kenshi. Now, I don't think this is a win for Kenshi because the main point of that fight is to just calm down Baraka. So I don't think neither party were going their hardest. It's not like Kenshi beat Baraka. Eventually Baraka's just like, okay, I guess we'll stop. I guess we're calm here. So we can't really determine who's stronger in this situation. However, I will say from that fight, we know that Baraka would be on par with Kenshi for now, but things might change eventually. Then afterwards, the trio go into Shang Tsung's laboratory and fight Tanya, Rain, and an infected Melina. Here's where cameo fighters get annoying. Did Kung Lao help you defeat Rain? Did Johnny Cage help you defeat Tanya? But luckily it doesn't entirely matter here because this still checks out on the tier list right now. So like Tanya can go here, Rain can go here, but Melina with the Tarkat infection, right? When she emerges with Tarkat, you don't really defeat this character, you know? This one, Johnny tried to like hold back and try to like fight Melina. However, the goal was, you know, they were just trying to like sedate her. They were trying to calm her down. Like Kenshi even says, like, you know, we can't hurt the princess and whatnot.
Whatever we do, we can't hurt her.
So I think that fight is very unfair to say like, oh, Kenshi beats Melina. We don't know how much is going on there. In fact, by the end, Melina kind of wins and actually stabs Kenshi and takes like 4 people to like calm her down. This is where the you got lucky tier is created because if you beat the weakest, one of these weakest characters, you get to be on the you got lucky tier. But also, if you have circumstantial reasonings as to why I think you're not super weak, but your character hasn't shown beating a character yet, then you go here. So this is where I'm gonna put like Tarkat Melina like here. Does that make sense? No? That's Mortal Kombat 1 for you, baby! In chapter 5, Baraka doesn't have that many wins in the beginning. Like, Baraka and Kung Lao beat a bunch of Tarkat hybrids. I just realized something. The Tarkat hybrids lock up Kenshi and Johnny Cage in a cage. Does that mean a Tarkat hybrid is stronger than Johnny Cage, and now Baraka is stronger than Johnny Cage because he defeated those Tarkat hybrids? Shut the fuck up. I don't want to think about that. Okay, so we're not gonna. I don't know why. I just thought about that, but I'm not gonna put that in the list. I'm not doing that. So I don't really care about those first two fights. What I do care about, however, is that Baraka beats Syzoth. It will be explained eventually, but Baraka actually should go here, and Syzoth should go here. I'm not just trying to not put my boy Reptile in the lowest tier. That's why I put him there. He does win some things eventually, so you'll get it when we get there. The question here to be asked is, does Kung Lao deserve any wins here? Because he's your cameo fighter. However, in the cutscene, like, yes, Kung Lao helps out with Baraka when fighting those, like, hybrid Tarkatans and the Super Tarkatan. When you fight Syzoth, I don't think Kung Lao was in the background. Like, it was like after you beat Syzoth, Baraka is like there standing, like, I'm not gonna kill you, Syzoth, and Kung Lao was nowhere around there. Hey there, Future Sonic here. So, I was actually wrong.
Shang Tsung will punish me for this by torturing my family.
Hello there. Kung Lao was in fact there to help Baraka defeat Syzoth. So this undoubtedly puts Kung Lao on the let us pass tier for me. Like, I think Kung Lao has proven himself enough to be there at least. And also, this will help explain why Syzoth and Baraka will be on the same tier, because it was not a one-on-one with Baraka and Syzoth, it was a two-on-one. So there is a chance that Syzoth's fighting skills is on par with Baraka, which will actually be the case later on in this tier list. Regardless, I'm at least putting Kung Lao in the let us pass tier, okay? At least he's not like the lowest. Like, he gets one win, you know. I'm trying to like defend my boy as much as I can, and sadly that's it. Like, I don't think he has literally any more wins he gets in this entire story mode. After this, they fight Ashura. Now, again, just like when I was talking about with Melina, they don't really have a fair fight. Baraka and Syzoth were trying to calm down Ashura, and by the way, it's both Baraka and Syzoth, and no one else helped. Like, this is a 2v1 scenario, and they were trying to calm down Ashura, and eventually Ashura was like, oh, you guys aren't demons, okay, let's stop. I would say, and you will see why eventually, but Ashura is, there's a reason why there's the demons tier. Ashura will actually be here, not because of this fight, but this fight kind of proves it, because it takes two people to calm down one person. So Ashura is stronger than Baraka and Syzoth, and you'll see why eventually. You can also kind of put her around like an on par and whatnot. Maybe Syzoth will be there because the three. I remember I had a version where the three of them are all kind of on par with each other, but this makes more sense right now. And let's move on to Chapter 6. Oh boy, Chapter 6. There is a lot of characters here. Now, first off, this is gonna sound pretty funny, but the first fight you have is Ashura going against Nitara. Now, Nitara doesn't win a single fight here, so she goes down to the lowest tier. However, before they fight Nitara, you actually see every character fighting against one of the villains. So you will see Baraka going against Havoc, Kung Lao going against Serena, and Johnny Cage going against Darius. Then, after you beat Nitara, you still see them kind of fighting, and then it's like, oops, Quan Chi activated the Soul NATO. Oh, I guess we'll stop fighting now. So, you do defeat Nitara. Nitara is back, like, defeated after your fight with her. But everybody else, they're still up. They're still up and going. You fight Havoc and Darius afterwards because they weren't defeated yet. Do you know what that means? That means that Serena, Darius, and Havoc are on par with whoever they fought. Does that make sense? I feel like that's a pretty justifiable way of looking at it. So congratulations to these three characters. They don't go to the what in the actual F tier. They go to the same tier as whoever they fought. So Havoc, as weak as this character seems, is on par with Baraka at least. So he goes there. Darius is on par with Johnny Cage. Darius actually also goes there too. And Serena is on par with Kung Lao. So congratulations to these three. You guys aren't complete jobbers just because you were on par with your opponents. Then afterwards, Ermac shows up and wipes the floor with everybody. Every single one of these heroes get decimated. So because of that, Ermac goes in here. Now you might think, well, why is Ashura there? Because eventually she does beat Ermac. Then after the fight, I believe Ashura fights against Quan Chi. I forgot who the cameo fighter there was. Doesn't matter. I think it was Ermac, but doesn't matter. Ashura then beats... Oh, actually, I got the ordering wrong, but she beats Havoc and Darius, but, you know, she's already above them, so it doesn't matter. Then Kenshi activates his powers. Then it was the combined strength of Kenshi and Ashura that defeats Ermac. I was thinking maybe Kenshi should get like bumped up, like, oh, like he beats Ermac, ooh, but no, it's actually like the cutscene shows that they both fight Ermac, so it's kind of like a 2v1 scenario. So again, like I said before, this tier list is too small. I would have like preferred to have more roles, but make it more simplified. I'm just gonna say Kenshi with powers, Ashura, and Ermac are all on par with each other. You may say, but Ermac is very bullshitly OP, but trust me, this will make sense for now because Ermac ain't that strong as we go on the tier list later on. Now looking back on my tier list here, I actually forgot some characters. Let me kind of backtrack here a little bit. Madame Bo, she fights Smoke and loses. However, that was obviously a fake out, so she was obviously holding back her powers. How strong is Madame Bo? Well, if I had an additional role I could put tier maker, I would make a question mark role. That means we don't really know how strong these characters are role, basically, and she would go there. Just think of the characters that I don't rank on this tier list. That's what that means. We don't know their true strength. That's why they're down there. There is another character that I did actually forget, and I'm gonna rank that character right now. I don't like the design of this character, and I think this character was very thrown to the wayside, unfortunately, and it seems like he should be a very weak character, and I'm talking about Goro. Goro, I don't even really remember this guy. Like, blah, of course he's gonna suck ass, right? Because everybody, all of them suck ass, right? Well, hang on a second, because the little he gets in the story mode, and by that I mean like he only shows up like 2 times in the entire story mode, the only thing he does is, in Chapter 4, after Melina gets calmed down, General Shao brings his Outworld soldiers there, and Goro beats the shit out of Johnny Cage. Now, to be fair, Johnny didn't pay attention to Goro like approaching Johnny, so maybe Johnny wasn't ready, you know, maybe. But one thing is for certain is Goro did have a one-on-one with Kung Lao, and he beat Kung Lao. So we at least know that Goro is at least here. You know what? Just to make this more funny, he did beat. I'm gonna I'm gonna put him there. He beat Johnny Cage, you know. And that's to be fair. I don't think Johnny was gonna be able to beat Goro. Yeah, I don't know. He beat Johnny Cage in a way. I'm losing my mind here. I just want to put Goro there. Fuck it. Okay, now Chapter 7. The funny thing is, I don't think I really need to move much for Syzoth, because every character Syzoth beats in Chapter 7 is already on the list. He beats Li Mei, he beats General Shao, he beats Kitana, and he beats Tanya. And I guess Chameleon too. I don't really need to move Syzoth. Actually, wait, I just realized something kind of funny here. Oh! Actually, there is something I will move. Okay, this is gonna sound really funny, but Baraka goes up and Syzoth goes up. You'll see why eventually, but I just realized why. But anyways, let's go to Chapter 8. You know, the funny thing is, Sub-Zero. You may think this character is weak ass, like, oh my gosh, Bihan is a big loser, he just constantly fumbles and loses. However, this chapter, unfortunately, actually gives him a little too many good wins. So, he beats Nitara, he beats both Shang Tsung and Quan Chi, which I haven't ranked these two characters yet, but I will eventually, and not gonna like where their positioning is, but, oh gosh, yeah, I'm not gonna like, I'm not gonna like their positionings, but we'll get to them when we get to them. The point is, the big deal to be mentioned here is the fact that Sub-Zero beats Ermac one-on-one. Like, there is no help for anyone. He actually just beats Ermac one-on-one. So that skyrockets Sub-Zero's positioning all the way up to here. Awesome. Yay. Oh my gosh. This is fantastic. So damn, Sub-Zero, what a strong character. Goodness gracious. Who the heck can stand up to him? Who's stronger than Sub-Zero? A bunch of random Outworld soldiers. So yes, a bunch of random Outworld soldiers are going up here above Sub-Zero. Because they're the ones that defeated him. You know, it's kind of crazy now looking at this tier list. A bunch of random Outworld soldiers is stronger than Ermac. Then Sub-Zero becomes evil. Scorpion beats basically everyone that Sub-Zero beats. So he beats Shang Tsung, he beats General Shao, he beats Rain, Quan Chi, Havoc, and Darius. Most importantly, he beat Sub-Zero in a one-on-one. He made sure it was a one-on-one because he's like, Smoke, get the fuck out of my way. I need this to be one-on-one so that nobody can disprove the fact that me, Scorpion, is weaker than Sub-Zero, you know, because I actually win against him on a one-on-one. Unless if you want to count Fire Elemental and Ice Elemental's influences, which I don't. Hey there, Future Sonic here. I forgot to bring up the fact that the Outworld soldiers that defeat Sub-Zero also defeated Scorpion. However, in Chapter 9, when Scorpion attempts to escape, he then beats up a bunch of Outworld soldiers. Heck, it could be even the same ones. However, the reason why I'm still putting Outworld soldiers on par with Scorpion on the tier list is because that was not normal Scorpion. That was a special Scorpion who I would talk about later on in this video. Now we get into Li Mei, which at this point, Li Mei has been kind of weak, but luckily she gets a glow up in this chapter. So we do know she at least beats Reiko, she beats Katana, she beats Tanya, and then she beats infected, going berserk cray-cray mode Melina. Because we know that, she at least goes up to the Let Us Pass tier. That's why I call it the Let Us Pass tier, because she goes down there. I didn't mention this yet, but Melina is kind of the most important character in this tier list. She kind of determines how your Mortal Kombat 1 tier list will look. Wherever Melina is will shift the balance of where everyone on this tier list is. You'll understand once I talk about her in Chapter 12. Basically, you have to make a decision on how strong you think Melina is, and that's a pretty funny conversation that we'll have later on. Now on to Chapter 10. Sindel. Now the funny thing is, I think Sindel actually is supposed to be really strong. However, let's look at the characters she beats. She beats Nitara, she beats Reiko, she beats Rain, and she beats General Shao. All characters on the What in the Actual Fu tier. So it's like, big deal. Wow, congratulations Sindel, you go there apparently. Wow, it's like, because every character she fights sucks ass. But there is, however, one character that is the exception to the rule. And it's ironically Goro. Because we know Goro is very strong because he defeated Kung Lao. So Sindel gets to be at least up here. Now I did buff Goro up to demons instead, but look, whatever, okay, whatever. And now we reach the titular Chapter 12. Oh boy. This is, I'm not looking forward to this. Now, first off, Melina activates plot armor time and defeats Ermac, which we've established is a super duper strong character, and also with no help from Tanya because of her ribs. My ribs. So we at least know Melina's as like up here basically. She beats Shang Tsung and Quan Chi, and then we get the multiversal twist, the everybody's favorite part, baby. Now here I'm gonna have to explain something else. I don't want to rank every single multiverse character because I feel like I would just be wasting my time. Basically 90% of them lose. So if I didn't rank them, they most likely go into the What in the Actual Fu tier. It's like, oh, I wonder how strong Order of Darkness Smoke is. He sucks. He lost. So he goes down to the bottom. He's loser. Okay, we don't talk about it. Okay, like Raiden does zap them, so that could imply that Order of Darkness, Raid, and Smoke were about to defeat Shang Tsung and Quan Chi. Shut the fuck up. I'm not that, okay? Don't be so stingy. Okay, just put them down there. If you really wonder where they are, you just imagine that they're in the lowest tier. I'm not wasting my time photoshopping a bunch of their funny pictures onto this tier list, okay? I've spent enough time making these funny pictures already. With that being said, both Dark Raiden and Dark Sindel will go somewhere on this list. So first off, for Dark Raiden, he doesn't one-on-one defeat like anybody. However, he does combine his strength with Dark Sindel and uses a massive AoE ability to like shock a bunch of characters. I guess he does at least beat Melina. Normal Melina, I must specify. That picture of the disappointed downward stare, that's normal Melina without using her Tarkut abilities. The true potential of Dark Raiden is not completely understood, like we're not entirely sure, but I'm willing to put him around, somewhere around like here basically. He shocked everybody in that area, like his power should be somewhere around here. You could put him all the way down here if you wanted to, but I'm gonna be a little bit of a nice guy and put Dark Raiden around there. Then we get everybody's favorite scene, which is why I specifically made one role just for this character called the bullshit tier. Dark Sindel. I love this render that I got her in. It looks amazing. Dark Sindel here beats every single character below. Oh, I just realized I didn't rank that guy. I did not rank the Protector of Earthrealm, Liu Kang. So this is not Titan Liu Kang, the Liu Kang that gets powered up later on in the story. This is just Liu Kang who is a demigod, who is about like the Raiden of this universe basically. Now, you might think Liu Kang should be extremely strong because like he's a freaking demigod. He was the creator of the universe. But if you look at his wins and loses, well, first off, he loses to Dark Sindel, which is embarrassing, but understandably, Dark Sindel is very bullshit, so that will help us determine where Liu Kang should be put here. However, and the only other time he actually like fights, ironically, is in Chapter 10, when he was the cameo fighter for Li Mei. Now, if you play Li Mei and you lose any of those fights, that's GG. Outworld is fucked. General Shao would become like the new ruler of Outworld, basically. Which means Liu Kang loses. If you lose as Li Mei, Liu Kang will also lose. What does that say about Liu Kang in terms of power level? Like, okay, I won't put Liu Kang all the way on like the actual Fu tier, but because we don't have any really good wins and the only wins he has is cameo fighting wins, he's gonna go in the You Got Lucky tier. That's how bad I think Liu Kang is, unfortunately, for how he's portrayed in the story mode. He's got nothing. His only thing is a cameo fighter in Li Mei's chapter. And if you lose as Li Mei, you will lose as Liu Kang. So that kind of proves to me that Liu Kang is kind of a bitch boy. I also forgot to rank this character because we do have enough information. Motaro. The only 3 things we know about Motaro is he shows up in Chapter 10 and is Reiko's cameo fighter. He loses. He shows up in Chapter 7 to try and like chase Saizod and the gang, but we don't really see anything else. Like he could be strong there or he couldn't be. We don't really know. But more importantly, he also loses to Raiden off screen.
To have defeated Kotal, Motaro, and Shiva.
So unfortunately, that's just too much information for me to put him in the actual food tier. And now we get to the point, the trajectory of how this tier list would go, and where I have to make an ultimate decision. And it's all because of our beloved queen, Mileena. Mileena beats Dark Sindel, which makes it so that I have to put her all the way up here. You know, when Liu Kang was having a pissy fit about Raiden not being able to fight Mileena, I think that was a blessing in disguise, considering how fucking high she is in this tier list. And also, here's where I have to specify something. Mileena here is not normal Mileena, it's not Tarkat Mileena who loses control. This is Tarkat Mileena, but Mileena is in control, like she is using her powers. You might be thinking, why the fuck am I differentiating Mileena 3 times? What the hell? Why am I doing this, basically? And the reason is because originally in my head, in fact, in my Chapter 12 Sucks video, I stated like, oh, wow, if Mileena wins against Dark Sindel, wouldn't that mean like Li Mei would be stronger than Dark Sindel too, because Li Mei defeats Tarkat Mileena? And in a different world, you can make that tier list. You can make the tier list where Tarkat Mileena, who's out of control, and Tarkat Mileena that's in control should be the same character. What happens? Why don't we run down the line? If the Tarkat Mileena that I put down in the You Got Lucky tier is stronger than Dark Sindel, then that would mean that Li Mei is stronger than Tarkat Mileena, Saizod is stronger than Li Mei, Baraka is stronger than Saizod, Ermac is stronger than Baraka, Bihan is stronger than Ermac, Scorpion is stronger than Bihan, and who defeats Scorpion? Dark Sindel. You would be creating an Ouroboros tier list! Mortal Kombat 1 story is so bizarre, so fucked, that you can make an Ouroboros tier list. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Ouroboros? I think that's how you pronounce it? I watched the Loki Season 2 once, and I think that's how I pronounce it? Fuck! So, in order for me to break the cycle of hatred and revenge, I decided to split Mileena into 2. Tarkat Mileena out of control, and Tarkat Mileena in control. If I split them into 2 characters, then I can actually create a cohesive tier list. Cohesive in quotations. This is my version of the tier list, where I decide to split Mileena into 2 characters. If you're pissed that, oh, actually Mileena shouldn't be 2 characters and she should just be 1 character, and Li Mei did defeat Mileena and that's why Li Mei should be stronger than Dark Sindel, you want to go down that route? You go, queen. You do you. I'm not going down that crazy route, so I'm gonna stick to my split Mileena tier list, okay? So that's what we're getting here. Mileena stands actually won. Like, they actually won this tier list and Mortal Kombat 1 in general. Mileena dictates how this tier list gets made. She is the center of the universe, literally, in this case. Why is Sorry, I'm reviewing my tier list right now. Why is Baraka there again? I don't remember why I put Baraka up there again. I can't. My head. I'm starting to lose conscience. I genuinely do not remember why I put Baraka there. So unless I remember, I'm gonna just bump him down again. I'm sorry. Anyways, let's have a conversation about Tanya here, because you might be asking yourself, well, Tanya was the cameo fighter from Melina. Now, it's not stated deliberately if she was fighting with her or not after the Ermac fight. She wasn't there for the Ermac fight, but maybe she was there for the Shang Tsung Quan Chi fight, for the Dark Raiden fight, for the Dark Sindel fight. By that logic, okay, she didn't help Melina at all, so she should be in the wood in the actual foot tier. Or she did help out Melina, so she gets bumped all the way up here. I don't like that, but I don't want to acknowledge the fact that Tanya does absolutely nothing. So this is where I'm gonna use my you got lucky tier again. You know, the whole like, she doesn't actually win a fight, but maybe she's stronger than she looks. So you get to be in the you got lucky tier, at least, Tanya, I think. I think that's fair. You know, I'm compromising both sides here. And then we get into chapter 13, which you may think to yourself, it's a breather for me, because every character in chapter 13 is just a bunch of multiversal characters. You know, it's multiverse Scorpion and Sub-Zero, and they all lose. So who cares? Why does it matter here? Unfortunately for me, the one who's making this tier list, there is one thing that actually mattered in this chapter, and you may have noticed it on this tier list. It's called Dark Khan. Now, why is Dark Khan on this list? He doesn't seem like a really strong character. Well, after the fight with Dark Scorpion and Sub-Zero, you get a mini cutscene where Raiden fights against Dark Khan. And Raiden actually gets knocked to the ground, and Dark Khan was about to finish him with his giant hammer. If it wasn't because of Shang Tsung and Quan Chi saving him, Dark Khan would have just either severely damaged or killed Raiden. So, because of that reasoning, Dark Khan goes all the way up here. And because Shang Tsung and Quan Chi defeat Dark Khan, they go somewhere around here. That's why I have a why you trying not to laugh, bro, because I really am trying my best not to laugh, bro. That's disrespectful of shit, bro. I had never touched Quan Chi and Shang Tsung because up to this point they basically lost every single fight, and it would make more sense for both of these characters to be lower because Ashura defeats Quan Chi. It doesn't make sense for Quan Chi to be there, but Shang Tsung and Quan Chi beat Dark Khan. Well, at least it's kind of a 2v1, and also there's a Dark Reiko, but let's be fair, who the fuck gives a shit about him? So I'm at least inclined to believe they're on par, but I would not make them anywhere higher because Sub-Zero beats them. This is in my opinion one of the more controversial, contradictory picks because Ashura does defeat Quan Chi, but I mean, they defeat Dark Khan. So if you think Ashura deserves to be above, then you can have her be above. I mean, maybe that makes more sense now I'm looking at it. Maybe they should be above. Maybe like Kenshi should be above. Let's not make it more complicated. Let's not make it more complicated. Let's just breathe. If the fans are disappointed, the comments are gonna bring things up, just tell them to make their own fucking tier list. Okay? Just calm down. That's when we're in chapter 14. Liu Kang gets a massive buff. He turns from Protective of Earthrealm all the way up to Titan. You know, the funny thing is, we can't really determine how strong Titans are. I just put them all up there because they are Titans. So, technically speaking, they should be extremely overpowered. But we've also been established the case that that's not always the case. We've had exceptions, and actually I'm gonna remove the exception here because it's too funny. In this chapter, we also get Titan Katana, Titan Kung Lao, and Titan Raiden. Titan Katana, I really unfortunately don't think I can rank her because she is the cameo fighter of Titan Liu Kang, and obviously they work together to fight other evil variants. But like, who cares? They're Titans. Like, what's the big deal about them? Oh my gosh, you defeated Dark Baraka and Reptile. Ooh, it's like, what that doesn't really matter. That's not really a big deal. So because of that, I would rather put Titan Katana in the question mark tier. So it's like, potentially she should be really strong, but we don't really know how strong she is. However, I will be putting Titan Kung Lao and Titan Raiden on the what in the actual fuck tier. Because they lose to minions. They lose to, like, weaker variants of these characters from another universe. They're not Titans that they're fighting. Evil Tanya and Evil Li Mei, they're not Titans. They're just random characters from Titan Shang Tsung's universe. And Titan Raiden loses to them. So what does that say about these two Titan characters? They suck ass. That's why they deserve to be down there. And you know who else deserves to be down there? Unfortunately, ya boy, Geras. Just like Titan Raiden and Titan Kung Lao, he should be very, very strong. He should be, but he gets sucked by Titan NITRO for 2 fights. And then Liu Kang has to save him in order for him to become useful in the fight again. So, theoretically, Geras should be very strong, but all we've seen, unfortunately, of him is that he is, like, weak ass. So he kind of has to go down there. And look, I'm very tired and lazy. I'm not gonna put Order of Darkness, Natara, Li Mei, Tanya, Liu Kang, and Kung Lao on this list. Because fuck them. I do not have time, and I don't have the agency to do that myself, okay? I don't want to. They're just gonna all be down there anyways. And that leads us to Chapter 15. Now, Chapter 15 actually I don't think is too hard for me to rank. I will just straight up say this, I'm not ranking every single multiversal hybrid variant of a character, so sorry for those Scream Demon fans. I'm not gonna rank her on this tier list.
How will it feel to be cancelled?
I will, however, rank Janet Cage. And the only reason I'm ranking Janet Cage is because the Force Snake asked me to. Snake, you're pretty much like the only Janet Cage fan that I know of. I do not know your obsession with this character, but because you asked me nicely, I will rank her. You see her in the trio of Johnny's, like, fighting a girl with 4 hammers, and they do defeat the girl with 4 hammers before they die, so I guess Janet Cage can be here, right? I think that's pretty good. I think, you know, not complete sucking, you know, but not too shabby. Okay, so let me actually break down what happens in Chapter 15. You pick your character, and they climb the pyramid. And by the end of the game, you help Liu Kang fight against Quan Chi and Shang Tsung. You go down first. Then Liu Kang takes out Quan Chi. And then he has a one-on-one Shang Tsung. And just as Liu Kang is about to kill Titan Shang Tsung, Quan Chi ambushes Liu Kang and tangles him up. So that proves to me that Titan Liu Kang, Titan Shang Tsung, and Titan Quan Chi are about all on par with each other. But then, your character fights both Titan Shang Tsung and Titan Quan Chi all on their own. So what that means to me is that the winner of Chapter 15 is stronger than all those Titan characters I just talked about. And because of that, whoever you decide wins Chapter 15 goes into the KK in a wheelchair tier. This motherfucking character, whoever this is so overpowered that this character should be able to solve every single issue in the Mortal Kombat franchise, every single multiverse issue, honestly, because of how bullshitly strong they are. So if you're not happy with this tier list, and if you think, like, honestly, I think Smoke deserves better, so I'm going to place Smoke in Chapter 15 and make him the strongest character on this tier list. Oh my gosh, I forgot to rank Smoke! Fuck! Damn it! Okay, I'm sorry, I forgot to rank Smoke. Unfortunately for ya boy Smoke, he literally doesn't get a single official fight in this entire story mode, and the only fight he gets is in the DLC where he loses to Cyrex's sector. So, F tier. But you can have him in the SSS tier if you picked him in Chapter 15. One of these characters can get saved depending on if you picked him in Chapter 15. Except for all the villains and Sindel, because if you pick any of those characters, they are a multiverse variant of them. Other than the villains, anybody can be S tier. And Shang Tsung too, I guess. And that is Mortal Kombat 1! Woo! Finally, we've done it. We've talked about all the characters in the story mode. And unfortunately for me, there's more to cover. Thanks, NRS! But before we get into the DLC, I actually want to bring up the arcade ending. There isn't, like, too much information to bring up, but I thought because some of these arcade endings are supposed to be canon, that there's some pretty cute things I can bring up. Now, we don't know the power levels of these characters, but Jax shows up, Dagon shows up, Harumi shows up, Shujinko shows up. Now, we do know that Liu Kang, Raiden, and Kung Lao had to all come together to stop Shujinko. So Shujinko theoretically should be actually really, really strong. Like, he would be maybe somewhere in the Get Over Here or Why Try Not to Laugh bro tier, like around there, basically. I then organized all the characters into a nice, neat little row so that you can see all the characters that I deem to be in the question mark tier. Hanzo Hasashi shows up. Now let me talk about Takeda's arcade ending, because poor Takeda never shows up in the story mode at all, so we really can't rank this character. We don't know much about Takeda, but there is literally one screenshot where he kills Mavado. However, I am in the minority, and I don't believe that everything that is shown in terms of the artwork is canon to like what happens in the story mode. Like, I think what they're saying is canon, but the artworks that they're showing isn't always correct. A reason that I say this is because there's plenty of times where the artworks actually contradict what happens. So like characters are holding weapons that they never use, like Li Mei with a sword, Tanya with a tonfa, Kung Lao with a sword, Raiden with a staff, yada yada yada. In one of the arcade endings, you literally see Kung Lao dying, and that's supposed to be canon. So I am willing to give the benefit of the doubt and say that Mavado is not dead. So I would still say Takeda and Mavado are on the we don't know how strong they are tier. But if it turns out Mavado dies in the next game, that would be very funny. And then one more character I want to talk about. So Reiko is a giant loser. I think he has 5 fights in the story mode and he wins none. Oh, by the way, he defeats Onaga in the arcade ending. Okay, what? How am I supposed to rank that on the tier list? Is Onaga supposed to be, I don't know, close to somewhere around here or something? So does that mean like Reiko should be going up there now or something like that? It's like the biggest loser in this entire game all of a sudden gets jumped up like into the biggest winner. Unless Onaga actually is the biggest loser in this entire game, and that's why Reiko was able to defeat him. Regardless, it's too much unknown information, so I'm not gonna rank Onaga on that tier list too. And now we are on the DLC, Chaos Reigns. Now, luckily for my sanity, 90% of this entire story mode is just characters fighting multiverse variants of other characters, chaos versions of characters, and they always beat them. So that saves me so much fucking time. Thank you in a weird way, NRS, for making my job easier in this DLC. So alright, let's go through this. So the first fight doesn't count because Sector and Cyrax were in training. The second fight is Cyrax and Sector beating Smoke and Johnny. Then the third fight is Cyrax going against Scorpion. Now, Kung Lao is a cameo fighter here, but we don't see Kung Lao at all in the cutscenes afterwards or even in the background, so I don't know how canon it is that Kung Lao helped out here. And also, I don't know how much I want to give credit to Sector, because, okay, but I will say this, Cyrax does beat Scorpion, which means I have to put Cyrax next to Dark fucking Sindel. Sure. Then Cyrax is like, you piece of shit, Sub-Zero, I'm gonna fight you, and with the help of Scorpion, defeats Sub-Zero and Sector. So this checks out for Cyrax currently. Then we jump to Sector's chapter, and here's the unfortunate fact. Every fucking fight from this point on is just characters fighting multiverse variants. So how am I supposed to rank these characters? Oh, congratulations, Sector. You beat Chaos Sindel. Woo! That's sure gonna bump you up a bunch. I don't know. They could either be the strongest characters ever, or they could be weak as shit. We don't know. So because of that, it's kind of hard for me to gauge how strong a character is based off of that. I will say, Sector was the cameo fighter when they fought Scorpion, and Cyrax then does defeat Sector, so man, I don't know. I don't think it's really fair for me to put Sector all the way up here. It just doesn't feel right to me. It's like, really? Is Sector that strong? I don't like that, honestly. But I'm tired, so you know what? Because I'm tired and I'm lazy, so Sector, you get a bypass, and you get to be as strong as Dark Raiden. Congratulations. Oh yeah, also I forgot to mention this. Harumi, as much as I want to put her in the mystery tier, be like, we don't know how strong she is, she could potentially be blah blah blah, she loses to a bunch of like foot soldiers. She loses to a bunch of normal Lin Kuei soldiers, so sorry girl, but you're going into what in the actual food tier. Now, I haven't ranked this character, but she has shown up in the story mode, Chameleon. Now, unfortunately, in the Mortal Kombat 1 story mode, she was the cameo fighter for Tanya twice, and she loses in both of those fights. However, she is Sector's cameo fighter. Because of that, and because she does win a couple of those fights with Sector, I'm willing to at least put Chameleon in the you got lucky tier. I think that's a bit fair. I don't think she's completely useless if she was able to hold her own in those fights. Then we see World War II Johnny, which unfortunately, again, this guy doesn't get a single fight. He would be in the actual food tier, but he's your cameo fighter when you play a sector and beat up all those chaos variants. So you also get to be in the you got lucky tier. Oh, also Chaos Frost is here, and she beats up a bunch of chaos like characters and whatnot. So I'm not gonna rank her because she potentially could be super duper strong. But I just want to put her on this tier list because of the funnies. You know, she's in the question mark tier, but just so you know, like, she should be pretty strong at least. And, you know, give some love to Cross, you know. She literally, canonically, I think, hasn't won a single fight, so this would be, like, the only one that I get to, like, praise her for, basically. Now we get to Emperor Rain and Empress Tanya. I'm not looking forward to ranking these two characters. Emperor Rain, unfortunately, doesn't have that many, like, things that we can rank him on, because every fight he fights is a bunch of multiverse variants. So like theoretically speaking, he could be like around here at least, but I don't think so. I think Rain would be super strong, and because we really don't know his power level, I'm going to rank him in the mystery tier 2. Now I actually do have one thing I can talk about with Mr. Chaos Kenshi. So Chaos Kenshi uses one move and swoops up the whole entire gang, like Cyrax, Sector, Emperor, Rain, World War II Johnny, Scorpion, like all in one swoop. That's very powerful, and that proves to me that this guy is like, if he wanted to, he could beat the shit out of you in an instant. So I kind of want to rank Chaos Kenshi all the way up here. Not up to like a Titan level, but you know, somewhere around here. This is more of a like a theory crafting character. Like, who knows how strong he actually is. Oh, we do know that he loses to Noob Saiba, so he's not stronger than that character, but he's around like this level basically. Now on to Empress Tanya. Oh boy! Again, we don't really have much we can talk about her. She fights a bunch of multiverse variants. There's only one fight that matters, and we will get to that when I want to lose my marbles. And finally, we have the final official character that I can rank on this tier list, Noob Saiba. The one thing we know about Noob Saiba is that he has a one-on-one with Scorpion and he wins. So we at least know that Noob Saiba is at least BS. But then the most bullshit thing happens in the story mode. Noob Saiba beats Titan Havoc. What the fuck? Like, excuse me? Like, huh? You know, this is what I kind of mean by, like, are Titans actually that strong? Like, theoretically speaking, they should be able to defeat you with a snap of a finger. But then also, they can lose to Evil Lime and Tanya. And then I will rank them as the lowest on this tier list. How strong is Titan Havoc? Well, the thing is, Titan Havoc shouldn't even be that weak, because we see that he at least does defeat Kung Lao and Raiden. I wouldn't say he defeated Titan Liu Kang, but he did knock him down, and then he escapes with Geras. So I would say Titan Havoc is on par with Titan Liu Kang. So the fact that Noob Saiba beats Titan Havoc is ridiculous. But does that mean that now I have to rank Noob Saiba above Titan Havoc? Well, there's some leeway that I can make here. First off, Liu Kang was the cameo fighter, so he may or may not have supported that fight and helped out there. The second thing that I want to also bring up is that who beats Noob Saiba? Empress Tanya. So does that mean Empress Tanya is also as strong as Titan Havoc? If that's the case, then why was she sneaking around, and why was she even captured if she could just walk up and beat the shit out of Titan Havoc? I guess also Cyrax was the cameo fighter there, so who knows like how strong Empress Tanya is actually, because like Cyrax did help against Noob Saiba. But regardless, it's this tier list is starting to break my mind, and that's why I decided to like put them all here. There's also one other caveat I have to bring up. You know who beats Noob Saiba when he loses control after beating Titan Havoc and is like, "Rawr! Get away from me, Liu Kang, I'm gonna kill Titan Havoc." Geras. Geras time stops Noob Saiba. Does that mean Geras is now also the strongest character on this tier list? Is that how this works? Is this how we're gonna end the video? Is now having like Geras like jump from the lamest character to now one of the strongest because of a snap? Does that mean that Order of Darkness Natara is also super strong? I'm speechless. and that's kind of how I want to end this here. Actually, oh wait, oh, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. There's one more character that I have to mention on this tier list. The GOAT, the actual strongest character in this universe, better than all these silly ass Titan characters. Scorpion in some metal chains. Scorpion in some metal chains is like a character beyond the existence of characters. You think Titans? You think the creators of the universe? You think the one being matters? No, because Scorpion in metal chains is an entity above all that. Hell, I would even almost say he's above the writers. That's how scary of an existence Scorpion in metal chains is. If Scorpion in metal chains, the winner of chapter 15, and KK in a wheelchair all got together and fought, the collision would be so huge that it will reset the entire franchise, and we would go all the way back to the original continuity, which would be based and awesome. So please let that happen. Okay, that's it. We're done. Woo! That's the tier list, guys. This fucking tier list hurts my brain. Raiden, with no powers but had some training in the Shaolin monks, is stronger than Titan Kung Lao and Titan Raiden. Yep, that's our tier list. That's Mortal Kombat 1, guys. Yeah, just looking at this tier list, it's really funny to me. Liu Kang, who's not a Titan yet, is like really bad apparently. I'm sad Syzoth isn't higher, but he is stronger than a bunch of other characters, so I'm pretty happy about that. Yeah, I'm looking at Baraka's placement here, and I'm like, why did I put him there? Because doesn't he beat Syzoth? Well, Syzoth's there because Syzoth beat Li Mei, but Baraka can't be above because he loses to Ermac. That's why he's on par with Syzoth now. Look, I could have made this list even longer if Tier Maker allowed me to put more tiers. So yeah, this is the best you're getting. My brain hurts just honestly looking at this list right now. It's extremely funny and also extremely like messy and doesn't make sense. And it can be even more messed up. Remember, if I deemed that Li Mei was stronger than Melina, then Li Mei would be stronger than all the characters up there. Then it would become like an infinite cycle, basically, you know, of like everybody is as strong as everybody. Which in a way kind of makes sense as to why your chapter 15 winner can exist if everybody is on par with everybody. If everybody somehow can beat one another in a way. That's how the tier list can go. It can go the Ouroboros way, or it can be what I created here. I'm really not happy either way, actually. But regardless, I hope you enjoyed this silly little video that some of you have requested me to make, and I thought it'd be very funny to make the list and see how it goes. The main reason I made this video is because I am currently working on the final Chapter 15 Sucks video, and if I do nothing but work on that video, that would mean I would have not uploaded anything in September, October, November. And hell, I don't even know if I can finish the video in December. Oh, and if you are wondering how far of a progress I am in Chapter 15, here's a small clip of the situation. Good news! I just finished the script for Mortal Kombat 1 Sucks, Chapter 15, Armageddon. And this took me like literally longer than a month. Now, I'm sure you guys are wondering, how long is this video going to be? Now, for context, my last video, the Liu Kang video, was about 20 minutes, and it was about it says 6 pages, but I added more content, so it's like 7 or 8 pages. My longest videos in the Mortal Kombat 1 Sucks series is like 30 minutes, and it's about 10 to 11 pages. So, how many pages did I write for my Chapter 15 video? Let's give it a look-see here. Flipping here. 34. So yeah, I'm excited to lose my mind again. But I thought, you know, I haven't uploaded in a while, so I should just make this little funny video to kind of notify you guys of what's been going on with me. You know, I'm still alive, I'm still making videos, and I'm still working hard on that final Mortal Kombat 1 video that I hope will be a banger. Thank you all so much for watching. I will hopefully, earliest, see you guys at the end of November, and latest December. And because I said latest December, I might see you guys next year at this point. Alright, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye! Shh, you're still recording. Don't record anymore! Oh.
Instant down.